Over the next few days, we're going to hear from local politicians, former politicians, Democrat, Republican, and Independent, giving their thoughts on new President Joe Biden, the pandemic, and efforts to try and bring the country together. Here's our Janine Lassant to start the series.
SSPTV News, glad to have our good friend Lou Barletta back, former Hazleton Mayor, former US Congressman. Lou, thanks for joining us here on the program.
Hi, Janine. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Let's talk a little bit about 2021, talk about the Republican Party, where we're at with the new president of the United States.
Well, I think we're all anxious to start 2021. 2020 was such a bad year for everyone. If you remember, it started with Kobe Bryant in a tragic accident, and the entire year got worse. So, as we look ahead, I think, your question on what happens to the Republican Party is a good question, since, Donald Trump won't be the president. The Republican Party is the party of Trump. And I believe that there will still be a tug of war, if I can use that metaphor, as to what the Republican Party becomes now. I personally believe that the 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump will not go away and should not go away. Donald Trump changed the Republican Party. It's so diverse now as opposed to the old Republican Party. It's now the party of working men and working women. We have more blacks in the Republican Party than ever, more Latinos in our party more than ever. We have working men, labor, union workers have come into the Republican Party, as the Democrat Party has sort of shifted left and left many people behind. So it'll be very interesting if this battle of what the Republican Party is, if the establishment Republicans will go along.
What is your advice to the local business owners, the mom and pops who are struggling? They've taken out loans, double loans. They've, taken out, sometimes their retirement money to keep their businesses alive, and really with no end in sight, with, some relief from the government. Is there any advice you can give to these local businesses looking to stay open?
Well, first of all, I want to thank them, all of the businesses that are continuing to try, and sorry to those that weren't able to make it. I know many businesses and friends who had great businesses here around Hazleton just literally couldn't survive. And I've been very vocal about my disappointment in the way how Governor Wolf has handled this in shutting down businesses and not realizing that, these mom and pop businesses can't survive. They had to leave their employees go. They still try to struggle. I went for a coffee the other day, and the owner there told me he had to leave his employees go. He has his family trying to fill in, and he doesn't know if he's going to make it. And so, 2021, I hope that we get the economy going again, that the vaccine will lift the restrictions that we're seeing, especially restaurants who have a very slim margin to begin with, can survive, and that we can get back to some kind of normal life.
And finally, and this might be a hard one, how do we explain where we are in these times with our children, with our youth, over such division, such a time in our lives where we need unity? We tell our kids and our grandkids to love one another, and we turn on the TV or we go to social media, and all we see are these adults on both sides feuding.
Yeah, it has to end, and the great thing about it's not the great thing, it's probably the worst thing about politicians. They'll say one thing and do the opposite, and I think that's why people are so soured and upset. We can't talk about unity and then continue to impeach a president who's not even in office any longer. We can't talk about unity and want to shut down your First Amendment rights. We can't talk about unity and literally, if you think politically one way, that you need to be canceled. I don't know how you unite 74 million people who feel one way and, don't want to be included. So if you're going to talk about unity, I think both sides really need to say, okay, let's put down the bows and arrows and let's find ways that we can work together for the betterment of our country. And I think the person that can do that, whoever does that, I believe you'll see many people gravitate around anyone like that can actually make that happen.
Today's news feature is brought to you by the Cheese Store and more. Head to their Facebook page to check out their specials for Super Bowl Sunday.